What the fuck is up, everyone? Prison Miller here, back with a new album ranking series. As you may know, we will be ranking the Rob Zombie albums. As you know, we have an upcoming album coming up called The Great Satan. And prepare for that, we're going to view all the albums by him, all 11 studio albums. And yes, this will also include the White Zombie album, since I don't want to leave the White Zombie albums out of a discography. And main reason why is because I feel like White Zombie is part of Rob Zombie's discography, and I don't feel like I should leave them out for this. I know some people like solo projects, I know I can see why, whenever I rank every Ozzy Osbourne albums, I would rather leave Black Sabbath out of this, because it's kind of two different things, but I feel like for this one, since White Zombie has 4 albums, and plus on Rob Zombie's Greatest Hits album, he included the White Zombie songs on there, and plus he plays the White Zombie songs while he's on stage, so there's that. So, keeping guys in mind, I will not include The Great Satan on here because at the time of this recording, the album is not out yet. So, we will review the first 11 studio albums by Rob Zombie, from Soul Crusher to his recent album, which is a fucking long title, which is called Kool-Aid something. The Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy. So we'll go from Soul Eclipse to Lunar Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy. All studio albums by him. I am not interested in EPs, demos, remixes, compilations, or live albums. You guys know how this goes. I go through each album in discography order, give them a score out of 5, with 0 being the worst and 5 being the best. So, you know how this goes? Let's go ahead and begin. Alright, starting up, we got is Soul Crusher, released November 1987, off of Silent Explosion / Caroline Records. And yeah, I'm not really a fan of this record at all. I know this album has more like this noise rock, punk rockish feel sound to it, which I'm not quite a fan of. It sounds like it was made from a garage. Hated production. It sounded cheap. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of this one. I mean, I know it's a debut, but still, I am not a fan. It sounds silly, and the main problem is Rob sounds way too drunk when he sings. Like, he's really, really drunk. Who is called as Rob Straker at the time. And yeah, I don't want to go detail. I mean, there's maybe a few catchy hooks like Drowning the Colossus and Crow 3, and that's kind of it. And maybe Diamond Ass. But yeah, I am not a fan of this one. I know I may be in a minority. I just don't like this sound. It sounds too silly for me. I don't care if I'm in a minority. Fuck it. I'm going for 1 out of 5. I think this album straight up fucking sucks. Yeah, I don't like this record. It's ass. Sorry. Alright, next up we got is Make Them Die Slowly, released March 22nd, 1989, off of Caroline Records, and I'll say this album is a bit better than their last album, but I'm still not a fan either. I mean, Rob still sounds drunk in this album, but they did change their sound, leaving a more metal sound. It kind of has this sludgier riff sounds to it, and I kind of like the transition at times, but the production is still low. It sounded cheap. Sounds like it's from a garage. But at least I hear some riffs on here, which is nice. Some more interesting riffs. But then again, I mean, the songs on there are not very memorable. The only one I can even remember is Demon Speed and Murder World. Like, I kind of like this when it starts out slow, but it goes faster to it. It sounds like it's highly influenced by Black Sabbath. It may be Godslayer. It's a bit memorable, but it's just, I don't go back to it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this album either. Production isn't very good, but I'll give it props since it's better than their last album. So, we'll go for a 2 to 5. Yeah, that sounds right. At least, I mean, I'll go for a light 2 to 5 since they have some decent riffs here and there, but overall, I just think this is a pretty boring record, and I just don't like the production. Alright, next up we got is Los Exorcisto, released March 30th, 1992, off of Geffen Records. And I think this is their first major label, I believe. This is where it gets more attention than their last albums. And yeah, it's got a lot of hit songs in there, like Thunder Kiss 65, Black Sunshine, and yeah, they've been around the world. They've been around with Testament, on touring with Testament, Pantera, Crowbar, many others, and I think they opened for Danzig as well, and maybe Typo Negative, I don't know, and probably Anthrax. And they got a lot of solid moments, like starts off with Welcome to Planet Motherfucker, Psychedelic Slag, which has Psychedelic Slag is pretty much the outro. I love this groovy riff throughout. And yeah, Thunder Kiss 65, it's a classic song. I absolutely love it. But I kind of did have some criticism here. I feel like the album is a bit too long at times. The album is 57.5 minutes, and it could do a bit of trimming here and there. But it kind of has some underrated songs too, like I Am Legend, Thrust is a great one, Grindhouse A Go-Go, Starface is pretty catchy, and here and there. But yeah, it's got some really great riffs from Jay Younger, whatever his last name is. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, which I apologize for it. Yeah, it's got some great stuff on here. So I am feeling a strong enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. I thought this is a really good record. Yeah, I know some people may call this a classic album, especially in the groove metal genre. I mean, yeah, it's good, but I mean, I don't know if I call it overrated. I wouldn't really say it is. I mean, I know I might get pissed off for giving this a 3.5 out of 5 instead of like a 4.5 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, but yeah, it's 3.5 out of 5 for me. I mean, I do like it, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's just, it kind of gets a little draggy a bit at times, but I enjoy it. I kind of like this B-movie samples here and there to it. I mean, it's not industrial like we get on the subsequent albums after that, but I absolutely enjoyed it. Alright, next up we got is Astro Creep 2000, released April 11th, 1995, off of Geffen Records. Now, as you guys may know, this is the band's final studio album. After that, Rob Zombie moved to his solo studio albums. Now, this album starts off with this added more industrial elements, unlike their last album. And no, this is not part 2 of Los Exorcisto, and I think this is their first album, well, their only album with John Tempesta on drums, which he was previously did drumming from Exodus and Testament, and it's got some of their most heavy hit, their most big hit songs like More Human Than Human, Supercharger Heaven, Electric Head, both parts, and yes, guys, I will say this, I would say this is my favorite White Zombie record. Despite being their last album, I would probably say this is their best one. I like this a lot more than Los Exorcisto, and I say it's a lot heavier. It's more experimental. It's a lot darker too. I mean, the lyrics are a lot more darker than the last album, which, like, especially as you may know, Rob's big love for B horror films and cult films. Movies like The Omega Man, Shaft, Haunting, Curse of Frankenstein, and The Devil of a Daughter. It's just got everything you need. It's got, like, I would probably, if you're new to White Zombie or Rob Zombie in general, I would probably start with this record or maybe the album after that, which is not White Zombies from Rob Zombie himself. And it's got some great moments. Grease Paint and Monkey Brains kind of has a psychedelic sound to it, which it's a bit more experimental than their last album. I mean, I like this, little bit of new metal sound with El Phantasmo and the Chicken Run Blastorama. I like this trippy sound with Blur the Technicolor, and as well as the melodic track Blood Milk and Sky. I like this hidden track, which kind of has this weird trippy sound to it, which is really great. And I feel like the riffs are a lot more memorable compared to the La Francisco album. Yeah, I thought this is a great album. I absolutely enjoyed it. So I am feeling a really solid 4 out of 5. I absolutely enjoy this record. I thought this is a kick-ass record. I would probably say it's a classic record too. Um, yeah, I would if you're like industrial metal or if you're into heavy electronic music, I say this is the album for you. I absolutely enjoy this record. I would say this is my favorite White Zombie album. But I'm not sure if it's my favorite Rob Zombie album, because we'll get to that in a very shortly. Alright, sorry, got tired. Continuing on. Album's still not yet by the time of this recording. Just letting y'all know. Anyways, back to the video. Yeah, next up we got is Hellbilly Deluxe, Rob Zombie's debut album, released August 25th, 1998, off of Geffen Records. Yep, his debut album, and it's very successful too, especially for the rock solo artist. Especially an album that outsold all of the White Zombie records before. It's definitely considered as a shock rock classic, you know, with songs like Dracula, Super Beast, Living Dead Girl, and even some hidden gem songs too, like Demonoid Phenomenon, Spook Show Baby. It continues off with the sound from White Zombie. It's more industrial sound to it, and yeah, it's got a lot of classic moments, and the lyrical content is pretty much the same as from White Zombie with this musical style to it, and it's got a few experimentations too. It's got some creepy interludes here and there. Just like with White Zombie, it's got some sound clips from horror films with tracks like Dracula, which is basically not actually from Dracula. It's basically named from the Munsters is Dragula, despite him making a shitty kids movie about it. And Super Beast, which is basically features Soundhouse from the movie Madhouse. And Living Dead Girl, which is named from a French film, which I don't speak French, so I'm just going to say this in English, The Living Dead Girl. And yeah, it's basically like a Halloween themed album. Even though, in case you want to know what the song Living Dead Girl is, which is really nasty, it's about fucking necrophilia, which is fucking disgusting. I don't know, I haven't seen the movie. It's a song about necrophilia. That's what song Living Dead Girl is. It's having sex with a dead body. That's necrophilia. But I would say the lyrics is a lot nastier than it was on White Zombie. I would probably say this is my favorite Rob Zombie album, including the White Zombie album. Yes, I like this album a bit more than Astrocrete. It's got really great stuff on there with this 39, I think that's how long this album, 38 and a half minutes. Okay. Yeah, it's a classic. It's got really great songs. I absolutely enjoy this record. I like the riff from John 5. Really great album. So I am feeling a really strong 4 out of 5. I thought this is a really great record. It's definitely a classic album. Yeah, I mean, why I didn't rate this higher? It's not like mind blowing or anything, but it's a really fun album. It's no masterpiece or anything, but it's really fun. And yeah, I could pretty much call it a classic. It's more like a enthusiastic 4 to 5. I thought this is a really great record. It's definitely a classic. I definitely highly recommend you check it out if you're an industrial or if you're. I feel like this is great to listen to on Halloween. You know, like if you have, it's great to listen. If you have a Halloween party, definitely play this album from start to finish. It's great. It's a great album to play at a Halloween party. So yeah, I absolutely enjoy this record. Alright, next up we got is The Sinister Urge, released November 13, 2001, off of Geffen Records, once again, and I would say this is just almost the same as Hellbilly Deluxe, except it sounded more faster and a little heavier, and, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as the last album. It's just more, it just has more emphasis on there. Yeah, I would say the lyrics is pretty much the same thing, even though for some reason, this album has a parental advisory label on there, but when I'm reading on the lyrics, I don't see any cussing on there for some odd reason. There's no cussing on this album, as far as I remember. I may have missed a few, but I don't know. But the lyrics are not that explicit. Unless you're talking about, well, songs like Dead Girl Superstar, which, even though there's no, like, cussing on there, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking about parental advisory labels. But I thought this is another strong album. Now, is it as good as Hellbilly Deluxe? No, which I'll get to that very shortly. I absolutely enjoyed it. It's got some classic songs. It's a fan favorite. From what I'm reading, this album had mixed reviews, but it turned out to be like a fan favorite type album with songs like Feel So Numb, Never Gonna Stop, Demon Speeding. I do like Ironhead, which features Ozzy Osbourne on here. I do like this punchy riffs on here. Now, and I do like the closing track, House of a Thousand Corpses, which is basically a main soundtrack to the film, even though the movie wasn't released until a year and a half later, which which is kind of understandable since the movie was filmed in 2000 and it wasn't released 3 years later. And now back to the part where I said it's not as strong as Hellbilly Deluxe, mainly because there's a tad bit of filler on this album with tracks like, I guess maybe you could say a bit of filler, like Bring You Down to Cripple Town. I guess that's kind of a filler track, and maybe Go to California, but everything else is really solid. It's really fun, and would I recommend it? Yeah. I do like it's got some fewer, faster, high-tempo songs like Dead Girl Superstar, which features Kerry King from Slayer, and Scum of the Earth is kind of a higher tempo track too. But overall, I think it's a fun album, so I'll go for a strong, enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. I thought this is a really fun record. I might say this is my second favorite Rob Zombie album. Or maybe third if you want to count the White Zombie records. But as for a solo, this would be my second favorite. So yeah, I absolutely enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, there may be a few fillers, and there's some songs that are better than the others, but I enjoyed this record. It's a good record. Next up we got is Educated Horses, released March 28, 2006, off of Geffen Records again. And, yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this record. I know this is a lot different album compared to the previous first two Rob Zombie albums, and as well as White Zombie. This one focused more of some bluesy rock-ish sound to it, and I know earlier I said in the video about John Five's guitarist and Hellbilly Deluxe. Well, I was wrong. It's not him. This is the first album with him on it, which I apologize. I was wrong. That actually the guitar work on Hellbilly Deluxe was actually Blasco. I have to correct myself on that one. But I feel like what I'm reading from Rob Zombie, he says it was a weird kind of phrase that I remember as something as a kid. You know, my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, the whole family were involved in carnival business and like circus business. So as a kid, we would get dragged to those things and we had to spend all this time here, and that was just one of the attractions I remember. What would they call the trained animals? You know, educated horses. And, yeah, it's kind of hard to remember this album. I mean, the lyrics aren't very memorable. I mean, some of the songs here just don't fit well. I mean, the only songs I can remember on here are American Witch, Foxy Foxy, maybe Seven Tier Locust, and Let It All Bleed Out. Everything else is just, I guess maybe I can remember a little bit of Devil's Rejects. It kind of sounds like a more dried out version of House of a Thousand Corpses. I mean, no, I'm not talking about his movies. We're not talking about his movies, guys. It just sounds more plain, and yeah, I'm just not quite feeling this record. I mean, it's not terrible or anything. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. 2 out of 5. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, it's just very dumbed down compared to the previous records. It's just not a lot of songs on here are very interesting, and I'm just not a fan of this blues sound that he's doing. That's all. Alright, next up we got is Hellbilly Deluxe 2, released February 2nd, 2010, off of Roadrunner / Loud and Proud Records. Now, Hellbilly Deluxe 2, I wouldn't, which is kind of a sequel to Hellbilly Deluxe, but not really. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's a sequel to Hellbilly Deluxe. It sounds like a complete different album compared. Well, it is a different album, and it doesn't sound consistent to it. But I'll say it does sound. It does have some great moments here and there. I mean, it's definitely nowhere near as good as Hellbilly Deluxe. I mean, now, as we know, this was originally supposed to be released around 2009, but it got delayed to 2010 because around that time, Rob Zombie was directing Halloween 2, which, as the movie to release, it didn't go out too well. I mean, yeah, as we know, it took several years for him to make a new album, between Educated Horses and Hellbilly Deluxe 2. Rob Zombie's too busy on Halloween movies, and now we got the new album out. And it got some great moments. It has more like a it kind of feels like it abandoned the industrial sound to it. It has a less electronic sounds to it. It has more like a shock rockish sound with tracks like Sick Bubblegum. It kind of has this little hair metalish sound to it. I kind of like this punk atmosphere to it. And I do like this will be the reissue version I will be talking about. I do like the bonus, which is 3 bonus tracks. Devil's Hole Girls and The Big Revolution kind of has this heavier tone to it. Kind of like a thrashier sound to it. I do like the Jesus Frankenstein song. And then there are some lyrics on here that kind of don't fit with the album, with tracks like Everything Is Boring. Which it kind of doesn't fit with the atmosphere of the album. Well, even though it's a catchy song, I kind of found a little bit of the lyrics on there a bit cringy here and there. And the album kind of does have some experimentations, like some elements from Educated Horses. And it's quite done right at times too, like Jesus Frankenstein and the closer track from the reissue version. The Man Who Laughs, the new version I meant, kind of has this baritone guitar to it, which has sounded really nice. And it got a few unpredictable moments here and there. But then there's a few tracks I may not care for, like Cease to Exist. Maybe Death Destiny Inside the Dream Factory. But it's pretty enjoyable for the most part for several cases. I'll go for a middle of the row 3 to 5. Yeah, it can be enjoyable for the most part. I mean, I like several things from this album. And then there's some moments I may not like. But it's pretty enjoyable. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for newer fans, but, it's decent. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's not amazing or anything. It's slightly good. Yeah, it has some great moments with songs like Sick Bubblegum, What, Mars Needs Women, here and there. And then there's a few that kind of went off a bit, especially in the second half of the album. But, yeah, it's a solid record. Alright, next up we got is Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor, released April 23rd, 2013. Off of Zodiac Swamp, T-Boy / Universal Records. I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. Now, it seems like ever since Sinister Urge, it feels like Rob Zombie's albums are going up and down, and it's kind of like not in the good way, and this is what this album kind of feels like. This album kind of it's definitely a lot worse than their last album, and I don't want to go to further details with this album. It's just, I'd say this is his worst as a solo artist, his most boring and quite forgettable. It's pretty much the songs I hear are just really repetitive choruses, not really good hooks either. I mean, Dead City Radio, The New Gods of Supertown can be a little bit catchy, but it gets so fucking repetitive. Gang Gone to whatever the fucking nonsensical lyric is, it's just really repetitive. It's just as like I hear it from the entire 3-minute track. The only few songs on here that kind of stands out a bit is maybe Rock and Roll in the Black Hole. Kind of has this trip hop sound to it for a bit. Which it kind of, at least it had a little something to it. And as for the Grand Funk Railroad cover, an American band, it kind of sounds like maybe it was made by an old fucking boomer track, despite him being a Gen Z. It sounds like it was made by a tribute band, like trying to sound heavier, and it just doesn't sound very good. Yeah, and the other songs on here, it's just I just can't really remember anything. It's just, and what I've heard is just not very good. So yeah, I am gonna go for a 1.5 out of 5. Honestly, leaning towards a 1. This is a really bad record. I mean, if well, I mean, I'd say this is his worst album as a solo artist, but generally his second worst behind his debut. I think this is a straight up bad record. That's it. Moving on. I don't want to talk more about it. Alright, next up we got is the Electric Acid. No, I'm sorry. The Electric Warlock Acid Witch Satanic Orgy Celebration Dispenser. Fucking long title. Released Zodiac Swan, T-Boy, Universal Records. Yes, we finally got an album that I absolutely like in a very long time. Now, yes, this is a lot shorter album. I think this album is 31 and a half minutes, which is pretty short. When it comes to, I kind of consider this as a little bit of an EP. There's 12 tracks. Almost all the songs on there are under 3 minutes. But it's executed really well. It's got some fun, catchy songs. I mean, yeah, it can be a bit repetitive, but it's fun. Lifetimes of the Teenage Rock God has this hard-hitting chorus. I absolutely love the track. Well, everyone's fucking in the UFO, which is a funny song, and it's got some funny lyrics too, as well. Really catchy songs. I absolutely enjoyed it. Get Your Boots On. That's the end of Rock and Roll. I like how catchy it sounds. Kind of reminds me of this early Motley Crue, like this hair metal sound to it, which is really fun. It kind of has this brought back to this Hellbilly Deluxe thing a bit, but it lacks the creepy tone of it. But I'm not gonna complain a lot. It feels like it's like Hellbilly Deluxe on drugs. That's how I consider this album. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I thought this was fun, catchy songs, and I'm going to go for a middle-of-the-road 3.5 out of 5. I thought this is a pretty good record. I say this is the strongest since Sinister Urge, so there you go. Alright, next up we got is the Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy, released March 12, 2021, off of Nuclear Blast Records. Now, I think on my original ranking years ago, I put this as their worst, and do I think it's their worst? No. Do I think it's great? No. And I don't want to keep this long, mainly because I'm tired, and I don't feel like I don't want to go to further detail here. So, now, what my main complaint about this album is, there's just too much interludes and a lot of random shit on this album. And there's some songs on there, like, there's 17 tracks on this album, and there's some of them that are not quite memorable, and I think there's one track, like, there's like a lot of interludes in this album, like a whole lot. I think the track, The Much Talk of Metamorphosis, kind of has this filler country-ish instrumental sound, which I'm not quite a fan of. And then it's just extremely random. But it kind of has but at the same time, it kind of has some interesting moments here and there. Now, as for certain songs on here, like, I may not be a fan of The Ballad of Sleazy Rider or The Satanic Rides of Blackula or anything like that, but songs like The Triumph of King Freak or Shake Your Ass, Smoke Your Grass, those songs kind of hit. Alright, I'll admit, they kind of hit. I'm going to go for a 2.5 out of 5. I definitely don't hate this record as much as I did, but I still don't think it's great. It's just, I couldn't get over the weird random interludes and stuff like that. But as for production goes, it's good production here and there, but I just still can't get over it. I mean, no, it's not horrible. I mean, it's not as total shit as I thought it was, but it's not a masterpiece either. I mean, I prefer this over the first two White Zombie records, Educated Horses and Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor. I mean, I prefer that album over the albums I rated less, but yeah, I just don't think it's it's that great, and I'm still gonna complain about it to this very day, and it's just something I can't really shake up with. Alright guys, so that is my ranking every Rob Zombie record. So what are your thoughts on the records? Let me know in the comments. And yeah guys, I know I'm kind of late on this. The new Rob Zombie album review will be out very shortly. I haven't started recording it yet. I haven't even listened to it yet. Again, it's not out yet by the time of this recording. It probably will by the time I upload it. I know I'm late. I'm really busy. I got sick. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you on the next one.